Hey guys, David here and welcome to another endurance laser video. Today I want to show you how you can easily mount an endurance laser like the 10 watt plus that I have here onto the Ortur laser masters. These are quite capable frames and can be had for a very low price, but the laser diode leaves a little bit to be desired and does not have as much power as the endurance lineup. So today I'm going to show you how I convert this and what kind of results you can expect. If you want to see more in-depth videos about both of these machines, then you can go check them out on my channel DATULAB Tech. Alright, so as you can see, I have completed the conversion. It was actually pretty straightforward. The only thing I had to do was drill some new holes in the acrylic plate that the laser was mounted to. That was very straightforward. Just measured them on the laser, drilled the holes and bolted the endurance laser to the already existing plate. That didn't take more than like 10 minutes. And then the wiring is also quite straightforward. Of course, I unplugged the laser here and then I took out the controller board here by just taking out the screws here, and the pins are actually been labeled. What you need is the PWM pin for the laser plus a ground pin. That's all you need to control your endurance laser, and I just soldered on some wires so I can plug in the connectors there and hooked that up to the controller box of my 10 watt plus endurance laser. Then I just fed the cables all along, the other cables, tied them together to make it look at least somewhat neater. It's gonna look a bit messy since there's a whole bunch of cables now, but that's should be fine. I also hooked up this hose here, which goes to a small hobby air compressor that goes through this clear tube and here to this air nozzle, and that's my air assist. That's the other big upgrade that I recommend, even if you don't go and upgrade this laser. If you want to do any sort of cutting, get an air assist. Especially for wood cutting, it makes all the difference in the world. Like these pieces here, I have not cleaned the surface of them at all. There was also no tape over top of them while cutting. It's just the air assist blowing away all the smoke means that there is basically no smoke residue on the surface. I mean, of course the sides are still charred because they can have been burned away, but it looks a lot cleaner than without an air assist. For just engraving purposes I usually don't turn it on since there's not really a point, but for cutting it's superb. Then in the software I did have to make some small tweaks, and that is that at least this controller for the laser does not quite accept S values all the way to the max. The S value is the power value for the laser. On the Ortur this goes from 0 to 1000, which is the maximum power, but for my unit here I set it to 0 to like 850, 900, something in that range, and that gave me the full power range. If I go above that, then the laser doesn't output more power but actually turns off or starts pulsing and stuff. But that's just something due to the controller. I'm not 100% sure if that's the case on all endurance laser controllers or just on the 10 watt plus model. Now if you were to convert the original Laser Master from Ortur, the smaller version that I have here, the procedure would be largely exactly the same. It supports a very similar acrylic plate that you could drill new holes for and mount the laser on, and the controller is actually exactly the same, so it would not be any different really, the conversion. You just have to keep in mind that you cannot mount the really heavy 10 watt plus laser on this style, as it would make the whole laser tip over, as it's a lot heavier than the original unit. You can also notice that weight a bit, that if the acceleration moves are set relatively fast by default, and with the heavier laser on here, you can kind of notice the table shaking, so you could kind of dial those acceleration moves down ever so slightly to make sure that nothing moves when there's accelerations, but the motors handled it no problem whatsoever. And that basically leads me to, well, the main reason why you would even mount endurance laser onto the machine like that, and that's the performance, of course. And well, it's exactly what you'd expect. It's the performance of the Endurance 10 Watt Plus laser with the great controller and frame of the Ortur Laser Master. I made some cuts here. I cut out this tree here. It's 3mm plywood. I cut it in a single pass at around 160 millimeters a minute. You could probably get away with like 180, but I wanted to make sure that it's perfectly cut through everywhere. And just focused the laser perfectly to the top of the board, and then it cut through. And also with this endurance laser, like at this distance, the spot is basically exactly a point, which is what makes the huge difference to the very oval line-esque spot of the Laser Master. So the cuts in X and in Y direction are both about the equal power, and both go through perfectly. Now, of course, engraving also still works. There's not really a big difference there. The speed is more limited by the frame itself. On the Ortur, with the Ortur laser module, I was already not engraving at 100% power, so the engraving still looks basically the same. There's also not a huge difference with the spot size. It's not really noticeable in engravings, but it still works perfectly fine, and the speed is also the same, which is great because on my converted 3D printer, engraving images like that takes forever because the controller kind of like stops a little bit whenever it's turning on and off the laser, which is a huge pain. But this controller, of course, is made for laser engraving, and that's why it's handling that a lot better. So if you want to see even more in depth what this laser can do, you can check out my dedicated review of the 10 watt plus endurance laser, and I do a lot more different materials and other testing in there, and you can get a better idea there. I didn't bother redoing all the tests, as it still is the same laser module, just on a different motion platform. But now let's talk about the elephant in the room. If you go onto the Endurance website and want to buy a 10 watt plus laser, this is going to set you back, depending on what kind of sale they have going on, at least over $500. And that's a lot of money, considering that even the highest end version of the Ortur Laser Master is like half that price. And with that, you don't even get the frame included. You still need to buy that in addition. So is it really worth the higher price? Now, of course, you can also get cheaper endurance laser, but even like the 4 or 5 watt versions, which will be about equal in power, just higher quality than what's already on there, are basically the same price as this entire machine. Now, if you think of it as having this machine and then upgrading it, this is a huge cost increase for not that much of performance increase, and it's really hard to swallow, especially if you get into it just wanting to get started with laser cutting and you're on a budget. Then this is going to be too expensive for you and not really worth it. But if you look at it from the other side, you want high performance diode laser, and you look at the endurance lineup and you think, yeah, that's the kind of laser I want, but you need a motion platform. If you look at it from that way, then you can get the cheapest one, the 7 watt version of this, and which is like $180, and that's not that much of a cost increase over the laser module if you come from that perspective. And in that case, the Ortur Laser Master, in my opinion, is one of the best platforms you could mount this laser to. which I think I'll actually be doing. I'll keep the laser on this platform as the controller is much better, and the bigger working area also could benefit me in quite a bit of projects. So I'll probably make another video about building the enclosure around it and everything, but that'll probably be a while till that's out. And with that, I don't want to bore you any longer. I think I've covered most of it. If there are any other questions, make sure to leave them down in the comments and I'll try to get back to you on those. And if you want to check out Endurance, I will have a link down below. Once again, thanks to them for sponsoring this kind of showcase. And if you like the video, leave a like down below. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of my future content. And I will see you next time.